two games they needed to win, against Ireland and against France yesterday, or the game against Ireland yesterday evening at 5:20, and that they won 4 touchdowns to 3 before beating France at 10 o'clock this morning, a game they won 11-4, and that secured their place in the final against Ireland, which I think is a repeat of the 2016 final. Also having beaten Spain and the Middle East to get themselves onto the front foot. I'm joined by Simon Abbott, who's from the Scotland coaching team. Simon, this when you're up against it and you start to win the games that you really need to win, how much confidence does that give a side?
It gives them a lot of confidence, because what happens is that when you're back in those tough moments again, you've got that experience of, well, we've been here and we came out of it. And you think to games that's where you've had to grind a team down, or you've been behind but you've come back and you've gone, we've been here before. And and the inverse is true, that if you've been in those situations where it's tough and your team's fallen apart, there's a little bit of here we go again. So it is really just that experience of having been there and having pulled yourself out of it before. And there is that cliche, winning's a habit, but and I hate that saying, but the more you go on, the more you realise it's actually very true.
80 minutes of touch play between these two teams so far this weekend. Far this week. Ireland having won the first of those games 3 touchdowns to 2, before England winning 4 touchdowns to 3 yesterday. So all things to square. So is this a drop-off, a 40-minute drop-off?
Possibly, yeah. Yeah, the longest extra time ever played. I mean, an interesting game, because I think, on the face of it, if you were to look at the teams on paper, you would favour England, because, with the likes of Martin White and Greg Copper, Mike Brower, Noah Quinn, you've got some players who've been around a bit and some experience there. But, Christina Tuatanga is the Ireland coach. She has experience of winning a Euros final. She was in the Ireland team that won the Mixed Open in 2010. And what a lot of people in fact I heard something the other day refer to as probably the biggest shock in Euros history, when they beat a heavily favoured. Oh, here we go.
And England getting on the board early. We've seen sides look to stretch, to stretch each other and to play a bit of a chess match in the opening exchanges. But England getting on the board early through Ollie Sills. The confidence we've been talking about, using the narrow wins to give yourself a springboard into the final. We've seen that in just how England has started. Greg Cropper finding Ollie Sills, and that's just a pure pace just to go over the whitewash there.
And what Greg did really nicely there was that he waited for Declan Keane, the Irish number 13, to just bite in a little bit. Now, a lot of teams are sending up that link as almost like a deterrent, and as that defence becomes more regular and more common, we're now seeing a lot of teams actually turn out against the defending team and actually beat them on the outside. And a good example of that is what England 27s have done to my side, and regularly actually snapped us there. So great job of Greg Cropper there.
Billy Nwini, the coaches as well of the Ireland touch team, is a former pro, dual code pro. Gets the ball wide, and you see that kind of skill set a lot from players who played professional, the ability to get the long flat passes at pace out to the wingers.
And then, I mean, the interesting thing is, as you say, the flat pass. I mean, if that ball had any flight on it, then there was no chance that she dropped it. But the only thing that was actually giving her a chance of scoring there was just how flat and fast that ball was.
Yeah, it's only when you're on the field with those kind of guys that you appreciate that skill they have.
Absolutely. Because it is the split second they give you. If you look in, for example, in the Scotland Mixed Open, the young player there, Charlie Burt, who in last year's junior champs fired a pass to his winner that literally took his winner off her feet because they hard. But, it gave her the half metre she needed.
England make it deep into the Ireland territory. Byron Tibbets on the 6th touch, led by Nwini, as Ireland works some metres up the sideline in front of their sub-box, getting some fresh legs on already. 2.5 minutes played, and we're seeing the substitutions, unlimited substitutions in touch, but we're seeing them coming thick and fast already. When the weather's this warm, so it's really important to get those fresh legs on.
Absolutely, yeah. And the other thing these guys will be doing a lot over the last few days is making sure at the end of each day and often in the morning drinking some electrolytes. So you'll see a lot of teams have electrolyte tablets, electrolyte powders, because it's the amount you're sweating out. I know a lot of teams are already thinking about what they're going to do for Malaysia next year. And just test. There's a few teams that are testing a few systems here to see how you deal with that sweat loss and that salt loss. What Ireland are doing really interesting here. I mean, when they subbed on, they managed to get really wide, crazy, and they're just going side to side and just working around a lot. Whereas then you see here just going a little bit more straight and a bit more up the guts a bit more.
Just getting some pace going, just getting into the Ireland half, putting the ball into the right areas of the field.
Absolutely.
To use the inevitable rugby sporting cliche.
Yeah, sure. Someone's probably chalked that off on the jackpot. bingo thing.
Yeah, we should have had touch bingo.
We should have,
BBC
yeah,
touch bingo.
Yeah. Interesting there though, they did that subbing off there, the English, whoever the guy was that subbed off there, and he put the winger in such a bad position and actually to turn it back, and it sort of slowed things up a little bit. Almost gets the third position really touch.
We'll come back onto your point about the electrolytes and the hydration in just a second as Greg Cropper takes the touch.
Greg's been there, done that.
Almost England's version of Mr. Touch, if there is one. It's England.
So much
He's actually down to co-commentate the next game injury he's missing. But the Chief Operating Officer of England Touch goes to the line.
Yeah, and that's clever play. What he did there. Now, for those who don't know touch, the defenders are only allowed to drop in a straight line. It doesn't mean they have to be dead straight. It's whatever angle they start dropping at is what they must maintain to the inside. And what Greg did there was he ran at the guy's step, the defender went with him, and he went again to show the referee this guy is deviating. And so that's really good play with Greg, just to earn his team another 6 in line.
And England used the opportunity to bring on some more fresh legs.
This is Martin Wright, who has been in England opening stalwart. He's been on that side for years and years and years. I think at one point was the assistant coach. Very, very fit man. I think he's a former soldier.
I'm not too sure about his background.
I think he might have been a soldier at one point. I sat behind him on the timelines and just read a running magazine.
One, just having a look down at the stats of the teams that have played so far, is that Greg Cropper's played in 8 games, but only scored the 1 touchdown, which at this stage of the tournament, when you've got other people like Ollie Sills has scored 12 and Joe Hartley 7, to have somebody who is one of the fulcrums of the team to not get on the scoreboard that much.
It's just reflecting his role in the team. I mean, his job, you saw in that setup before when they tried to run a sweep and he scooped and earned the penalty, and he's in there at half, putting other players into space. And you'll quite often see that. And if you look at the stats of the team and you see there's a player who hasn't scored many, then quite often they'll either be a half or they'll be a setup player. So, you know, Ollie Sills scoring 12 and now 13 that he scored. So that's just reflecting the different roles. Ollie Sills is a finisher, Greg's a setup player.
Billy Nwini. He does. He's Ireland's one of Ireland's playmakers and a real advocate for touch in the Dublin area where he currently lives.
And I haven't seen much of these guys play, but I wouldn't be surprised, given if we're talking about the scores. He seems to be running a lot of half stuff here, but he scored quite a few, so I wouldn't be surprised if at some point in the game they start switching into a game where he plays 50s on the line and just turns it into a one-on-one agility battle with the defender.
Lots of conversation from the official. That's the 5th touch.
The direction check just a second.
Nwini comes on the cut, gets the ball wide, out to the right. What a fantastic pass there. We were talking about the passing ability from the ex-professionals, and that's shown right there off his left hand to the winger, Sini Nautu.
This is really what they're doing here. All this movement here is bringing these English defenders across to the right. Martin Wright, he's been pulled right over, can't do anything about that. And this English winger has done what she's supposed to do. She's tracked infield, and then they've just cut back against the grain, and it's a great pass. And actually, at one point, a very, very good finish, because those are a lot more pressure than people perhaps think in that situation.
England now finding themselves level. Byron Tibbets, the captain, he looks to spread Ireland a bit left and right. It's one of the things we saw earlier on with the Wales mixed open team when they were playing Ireland, is that they went wide early a lot. To then force the winger to go wider to defend and then open up space more in the middle. As Tibbets goes to the line.
Touching pass there.
It's a late pass. Yeah, so as the play goes on, is that England will be forced to defend a bit wider to combat that. Which
what you're doing, this is what's interesting. If you watch what Ireland are doing, they're going side to side right there, and Billy Winnie's throwing that long ball a few times now, and as it goes on, and you might see that the English defence might start loosening up a bit. That's when you say, right, well, let's actually go further inside and maybe start doing a few more sort of agility-based plays in the middle. And you'll see that, a really good team, you'll see them constantly adjusting through the game.
As Ireland go, put the pace down the left wing, that's Owen Burke.
I think Byron Tibbets has come in the top
He has stepped out. The touch lines are extraordinarily clear here at the Highfields Sports Centre. We haven't necessarily had that in the England National Touch Series this season, but here we spoke to head groundsman Gregory Smith earlier on, and they've done a fantastic job, and every morning the ground staff have been out touching up all of the fields to make sure that everything is as good as it possibly can be. That's from a coach's perspective. How's it been for you?
The conditions, I mean, the facility is wonderful, and I think it's, it is quite often you want
Cropper.
I don't take that the whole way. And what really was going on there, I know people viewing might think, they tried to pass there and it didn't come off. What Greg Cropper was really trying to do there was going, it's our fifth touch, we're going to turn the ball over. So we're actually just going to pass the ball into the corner of the field that our sub-box is on and make Ireland have to come across field, take them away from the sub-box.
Well, England get a fresh set of 6 there, despite the ball being killed and on the touch. The dimensions of a touch pitch, it's one of those things where perspective is a funny thing on a camera, is that it's actually 50 metres wide and 70 metres long. So when you're talking about killing the ball in that situation, it is genuinely, you're asking a team to work the ball, as I say, the full 50 metres across and then 35 metres upfield, just to bring some substitutes on.
Just to get to the sub-box. And when you see it done, we talk about shooting, which is when a defence sits up and just starts firing waves of defenders at you as you're trying to come off the line there. They've done really well. They can actually just jam you and keep you away from the sub-box. And what that means is tie players that go off the field, but also you don't get field position.
Cropper and Sills combine. Cropper this time finding Glenn Jones. Sills comes off his wing, goes for the line. Nowini is there for the touch.
Since the touch count here is now the true penalty here.
So a fresh set of 6 for England. That's Tamara Slater. She's tapping the ball, and again just working the ball to the right, shutting down in the defence. That's Isaac Boss.
So I suspect Tamara's just trying to get the field to us. So again, all that taking across the field was really just to let England get some fresh legs on. And they've kept this Irish group of defenders out here for a very long time, and then didn't make the most of it.
That's kind of a bit of a wasted possession there by England, to be honest.
And Martin Wright seemed to point to his ears there, as if perhaps he misheard a call or thought he heard a call from somewhere.
Well, Ireland finally get the chance to get some fresh legs on. The inside pass puts them onto the front foot. That's Isaac Boss again. And now it's Owen Burke. Takes play into the England half for the first time in a couple of minutes. It's end-to-end stuff touch, but we've just seen a massive set of the change of pace, and an example of what you're talking about earlier as well is that the fresh legs coming on immediately, going wide and forcing the English defence to be honest.
Yeah, now they don't have Nowini on. Yeah, you see how they're just going side to side there, and actually a wee bit there. I wondered whether they actually had a little switch play
Drive over, put the winger here on this near side.
There's a wee bit of moving side to side and seeing gaps open, but also seeing if you can get a player into a bad position defensively where he's easy to step. So if he starts running across the side of the field, sort of sideways across his score line, it becomes easier to step.
Just a miss out there from Ireland. Katrina Depar over on the far side just can't keep hold of David Condon's pass. Just while England are just restarting the play, we'll just go back to the conditions for Kuala Lumpur that you're talking about, and people changing things around as England spill the ball. Just quickly, in terms of the humidity that has been in Nottingham this week, it's not going to be as bad as it is going to be in Kuala Lumpur, but has that helped your preparations in that regard?
A little bit. I mean, I haven't personally thought it's too humid. I mean, it's probably more the heat, although it's not say heat in Scotland, but it's been pretty brutally hot up there as well the last few weeks. Yeah, and I think it does help because certainly one of the things I've been fond of is educating players about sweat and electrolyte loss. We've been doing a little bit of work with a sports scientist in Australia and so we can prepare for longer. That's a great drive to get his team in front.
Yes, Mark Knight going there onto the England right and immediately working himself off to get some fresh legs on. That's a classic subbing play there by England without putting the ball through the hands.
Yeah, and then they lost just a little bit of momentum when Doug Benzie went off. It just got a little bit caught up there, and it just meant that when remember that 15-0 leg quick came into half there, it was just a little bit caught up. They just sort of lost that little bit of momentum, which just gives Ireland a bit of a chance back.
Just in terms of the sports science, is that we've also spoken to Carrie Thorpe, who's the England touch head of medical, but she's also headed up the medical provision for this tournament. In terms of the support you get from the Scottish Touch Association, how much are you seeing that change?
We've been incredibly lucky in that for about 10 years now. We've had space physios, our main support, and they are, they're physios to Scottish Rugby Union. All physios work in other high performance sport, and they will, I have to say, physios win tournaments. And I can't say enough about those guys. We probably have not done as well on our strength and conditioning support as we maybe have in recent years. I think that's something we look at. I mean, if you look at the England squads, I'm personally very envious of just the phenomenal support they get. And we do another thing that's worked very well for Scotland in the past has been, here we go.
Here comes the pace from Ollie Sills, goes all the way deep into the Ireland half. It was the 6th touch anyway, he's the half. It doesn't matter that he gets touched because regardless, Ireland would have had possession across 2 counts there.
Yeah, and what he's doing there, I mean, people might see that as, they didn't get through and score, but the first priority in subbing on is getting fresh legs on field, getting field position, and then when you scoop on that fifth, you're just going, it's going to go. If it comes off, it comes off. If it doesn't, we're down that into the field.
And when you've got somebody with that kind of acceleration, forced Ireland all the way back to 10 metres from their own line. We've seen Ireland mix and match, as you say. They're putting the ball out to the wingers, and it makes a massive difference when Billy Nwini is on, as we're seeing. But they've got a few players. As David Green goes on the scoop, he's looking for support. He can't score. Fantastic defence there by Glenn Jones. That was a similar situation on the far side. He's gone all the way to the end of the sub box before he's got touched. I mean, Glenn Jones has gone back and made the touch, but regardless, he wasn't able to score, and that's the important thing there.
I also thought that Devin Green pretty much ran himself out of space there. So when he scooped, there was a channel opened up in front of him, and he actually stepped across into the channel next to it. He actually ran himself out of space there. And that is Glenn Jones.
As play continues, it's good to see the referees let the flow of the game go on.
And the other thing that's giving this game a lot of flow is the referees are playing a really big 5 in this game. Again, for people who touch, not too familiar with touch, the rule is not that defenders have to go back 5 metres, is that they must go back a minimum of 5 metres. And at the top level, you'll quite often find a 5 as an 8 or a 9. And in this game, there's some 5s. And that's giving these runners room to go. It's making defenders work to get back inside, and that's what's giving each time each side a bit of room to just get these hard drives in and then flowing there.
And it's very entertaining, end-to-end stuff, but with quite a few changes of pace and direction as well. It's one of the good things that we've had this week, which has been the end-on camera, which we've been using for the replays, gives you a really good, different angle on the sport, quite literally, as we see a scoop coming from David Condon. He finds Emir O'Malley on the inside, but that's again 6th touch and turnover play. But it's
that was actually, for all that Ireland did there, that was actually an excellent example of really good line defence by England. And Martin Wright made the touch there, and as he dropped, body position, angle, everything was perfect there, and he was directing the other players who were ready to get in there and shut that down. That was basic line defence done very, very well from a technical point of view. Billy Nwini seems to be containing that.
I think that's, we'll have to just see what that's given for. I think it's not straight.
Every referee seems to have a different interpretation of what straight is.
As Nwini takes the ball up.
And he wasn't particularly straight himself.
As Ireland come again through Devin Green. This one's still all square at 1 touchdown each. Just said over the course of the 2 games played, it's been extraordinarily tight between these 2 teams as Green just hovers 6 metres out. They're bringing the England defence out. Tomorrow Slater, you can see England having to move forward. Tom Humphries in the middle.
Very good job there by the English for just taking away that space and just forcing them to go back to the side.
Green takes the dump. And here comes Owen Burke, getting the ball out wide for the winger, and the touch called by Sarah Rosenberg. But a penalty is called.
I am always surprised, 4 years being touched, that not more people just take that tap and go. But just to keep it depends off, there's quite often a lot of chat going on for penalty. I just think you can tap and go, and you're not against the really top teams.
Ball comes wide to Sini Nopu, the scorer of Ireland's touchdown. She just gets touched that occasion. As Owen Burke goes left, goes right, goes left again. Ball is down before he's touched. coming close to half-time. Ireland make the crucial breakthrough, and that's all about the dancing feet of their number 8, Owen Burke. 10 touchdowns already this week, and that one is the lucky 11. Legs 11, and he definitely showed fantastic.
And that's all that feet, Mike Rowe, just missing out there. I actually thought they butchered that because I thought that Tanya Ross's pass had just not quite been fast enough. So then they step back in and just on agility.
If there's a type of touchdown that you quote unquote don't mind conceding as a coach, is that one of those ones? Did you see Cropper combining with Ollie Sills?
That's one of the ones that you hate conceding. The ones you don't mind are when they throw a 25-metre bullet to the wing. Because what you've said is, we're going to compress tight in the middle, we're going to force you to throw long, we're going to force you to take the most difficult option, and if it comes off for you, if you can throw a 25-metre bullet and the player can catch it and it doesn't have enough float on it that we have time to turn and chase, then good on you. But when they beat you in the middle, you really don't like that, because you shouldn't be beaten in the middle.
Plenty of discussion there from the Irish player to the referee. He thinks that he didn't touch Cropper, or there wasn't contact between Cropper and himself. Referee Gareth Hines weighs play on anyway, and Ireland concede a penalty for deviation. You've got to go back in the straight line, as you were talking about before.
I think we should get on with this. We're at 14 seconds.
Yeah, it's an unofficial clock here, but we're starting and stopping it just about on the hooter, so it's reasonably accurate. But it's essential timing here at the Highfields Sports Centre. This is surely the last touch of this first half. Has this, I think,
she was touched just as she caught it. So
that's Michelle Claffey getting touched, but I think that England will have one last penalty, one last play of the half because of Irish deviation once again. That's a very clear signal from the referee, and they come to their left, look to tie things up. That's Glenn Jones heading over the whitewash, but he gets touched on the way through. That is half-time. It's been close between these two teams all the way through this competition, and it's close again. Ireland leading 2 touchdowns to 1. So I'm going to pick up our conversation in just a couple of minutes. But first off, earlier on today, I caught up with Greg Smith, who heads up the ground staff here at the University of Nottingham, just to find out how he's put this tournament on from his perspective in making such a fantastic facility available. Joined by Greg Smith, who oversees the ground operations here at the Highfields Sports Complex at the University of Nottingham. Greg, when you see all of the thousands of players and supporters and staff all enjoying themselves and some great sport, does it give you a nice warm fuzzy feeling inside?
Fantastic feeling inside to see all these people partake in the different countries that they've come from, and the compliments they're paying us for these, the pitches that we're providing them with.
Yeah, it's been one of the consistent themes of this week has been the feedback from the players and the referees as to the quality of the pitches. So given that it's been drier than the proverbial bone here in the East Midlands for the last few weeks, what have you done to get the pitches in such great nick?
Well, we have got irrigation, as you're aware, to at least 3 of them pitches, but it's, we started planning this in January with my ground staff, so we've done a lot of overseeding, a lot of fertilising the pitches and making them playable, really. Obviously they're used through the winter and through the summer for the students and for the outsider, but we've just upped the regime and we've been supported by the university.
You've come from a professional sporting background just up the road at Meadow Lane with Notts County. Have you approached preparation in the same way that you would do at the professional level? Yeah,
we have to because that's how sport is now. At the amateur level, at professional level, all want to play on top quality playing surfaces.
As far as watching the sport live on the BBC, have you been doing that as well? What stood out? Have you been surprised by what's been going on?
It's just the participation, the age groups that you've got playing, and the camaraderie with it all. And there's been it's really turned me into rugby, as a spectator. Yeah.
Has anything aside from the obvious stuff? Has anything surprised you?
How big this event is. We knew about it since January. We've worked on it. We've spoke to the organisers on a regular basis and met with them, but we never thought it would be this big. And the amount of people that's come to watch it, Nottingham's a great place for sport anyway, but the participation rate of people watching is fantastic, well beyond what I thought, my expectations. My office is actually here, and to see these people down here is brilliant. It's my day's got shorter, although it's been longer, because it's been so enjoyable.
My name's Chris Wearmouth. We're here at the Nottingham University Highfields Sports Complex, just by the main university campus here in Nottingham on the University Boulevard. One of the busiest roads in Nottingham, next to the tram lines. There's no excuse if you've got nothing to do in Nottingham this afternoon and you fancy taking in some international sport. Plenty of great transport connections to come down here. I'm joined by Simon Abbott, who's the Scotland Women's 27s coach, with your silver medal as well. Just have a quick reflection on the game earlier on against England.
I mean, anyone watching has seen England are a very, very good team. We had a game plan. Second half we went out and played it, and I think I would hope people agree that we were competitive. But no, I mean, that's just a very, very good England side, and they got the result they thoroughly deserve.
And England started off very well in this game here. This is a mixed 30s game, so just a quick rundown in terms of the rules about mixed touch. As we saw Oddie Sills going over for the first one, and then Ireland's come back because you're seeing male and female players on the pitch all at once. It's a maximum of 3 men on the field at any one time. As one of Ireland's go-to male players, Billy Nwini, their player coach, getting the ball out wide, and we can see on that replay there just those 25-30 metre passes that you were talking about.
Absolutely, and what he does there is because they run across field, when he steps you see that the English link, and that links the second man in, not know whether to bite or not, and he just comes in, and that means the winger comes in, and it's just enough that then when he can rip that pass, and there's just, again, they came back across the grain and one-on-one facility battle.
That was an outrageous dummy. That was worthy of Jack.
I think Mike Rowe won't be massively happy when he sees it.
And we have the second half underway as Ireland playing from right to left in their traditional green against England in white with the St George's Cross. Billy Nwini, former NRL player with Gold Coast Titans and Canterbury Bulldogs, and played for Rovigo in Italy. And that's a turnover for the hips, not square, that we're talking about in the first half. It's important that at the roll ball is that your hips have to be parallel with the touchdown that you're attacking. And here comes Byron Tibbets. Now, he's the England captain, and we were talking during the break off air just about a piece that he wrote after the senior touch championships in Scotland last week.
Yeah. So last year we had the senior Euros in Edinburgh, and England senior mixed have been very dominant for quite a long time in senior mixed in Europe. And now last year Wales beat them in the final, and a few days afterwards Byron wrote a very thoughtful and very honest and actually quite brave piece. He sort of posted, I think it was actually on the England Touch website, and he talked a wee bit about remembering that this matters and remembering that you have to go and earn it. And what he basically said was he felt that they'd gotten a little bit complacent and had forgotten you have to work for this, and you only win things when you really work really hard. And again, you asked before about our Women's 27s game, and to see how pleased the English players were to win a medal, you see there, God, they've really worked for it. Now, my girls absolutely worked as well. And I thought it was quite a brave piece to actually put out in public to say, just a question, so was our mindset right? Were we prepared to actually work as hard as we had to, or did we go in there thinking we've already got the division sewn up?
And I don't think that was the case going into certainly yesterday evening and this morning here in this division. England needed to beat both Ireland and France to confirm the place in the final. It's been the top 2 teams in the pool who have come through to the final, and with wins over Ireland yesterday, 4 points to 3, and France this morning. And here come England again, looking to tie things up. That's Sarah Rosenberg. The nod comes from the far referee. That has been confirmed. We are all square 2 minutes into the second half.
So this is, and there's a wee bit of now there. The Irish are potentially saying that there was a touch there, but that's an excellent one. That was a brilliant. Then the build up to this, England swept around from our screen going from right to left. That dragged all the Irish defenders around, but instead of giving the ball to the sweeper, they scooped and stepped and then just used that overlap. So that's a beautifully constructed touchdown.
Yeah, we saw the 3 Irish defenders all wrong-footed by the play, and then Tom Humphries getting the ball out wide to Sarah Rosenberg.
And I think for Ireland, to go back to that point about Byron saying, remembering how much it means to them. Ireland won that mixed open final in 2010 and sort of shocked everyone because Wales were massive favourites going into it. And then I think a lot of people thought, here we go, now Ireland will be the next emerging power. And it perhaps hasn't gone as well as they might have hoped after that. And so to see them back in finals, and I think their men's open team seem to have put in some good performance as well from what I've been hearing. So to see them back making the final like this, I think is great to see actually, that he's Ireland back getting into finals, and at one point here we think it was going to be them in France.
Yes, it could have even been Ireland-France as well if one of them had beaten England over the last two games. But England conceding a penalty just as they look to be clearing the danger, and Nowini, he's an interesting. We'll talk about him and Irish touch in just a second, because just as he starts to dictate play, calling David Condon over to him, there's loads of conversation. They know exactly what they're going to be doing. The English can hear it, but it's a question of whether you can stop it as a defence.
Yeah, what you can do about it, yeah. Or you actually tell him.
Nowini gets the ball back again. He's got the combination of dancing feet and a fantastic pass. He's going left, right, left again, finding David Condon, and he is over for the touchdown.
And that is what we were, in the first half, we were talking about how Ireland are going side to side, using that wide game, and how in the second half, you might see more of Nowini trying to turn things into one-on-one agility battles, and that's exactly what we sort of thought might happen in the first half. And you made the point earlier, do defences start adjusting? Well, yeah, they've loosened up just slightly, England, and he's now beginning to take players on one-on-one, and that's what creates the space there.
What was interesting in that is that he was dictating to David Condon that he wanted to, making it look like he was going to be the half of the next play, but then stepping out and getting the ball back straight away, and that's then created that, because Greg Cropper couldn't let him go. If he's the half, then you're going to let him go and do whatever he wants to do and man mark outside. As England go against Tamara Slater, just getting touched on the way through as England look to tie things up straight away.
I wonder whether they wanted to play a bit of phase up there.
As Tibbets just got touched on the way through. Tamara Slater on the scoop, goes wide left to Sarah Rosenberg. Touch, that's the sixth touch and a turnover, killed on the Irish 5-metre line.
And I suspect that they just wanted Rosenberg just to take the touch and put the ball down there.
And kill it in the right area of the field. And Billy Nowini, he is, as I say, he's an ex-pro, but he's a very big believer in touch and a very big advocate of touch. And he's coached a number of current Leinster players at school, the likes of Jordan Lama and people like that. And he uses touch very much as his own development. And it's great I talked to him at length yesterday, both on and off camera. And it's great to hear the work that he's doing and others are doing in Ireland to talk with the IRFU about getting more recognition as to how touch can be used as a development pathway for players, and for players to go from contact into touch if they don't fancy if they don't fancy playing contact anymore.
Absolutely, and I did a bit of coaching course in Galway a few years ago, and what was interesting is one of the guys on it was a top IRFU development officer, who the IRFU had sent over to what was a pretty basic level coaching course, but because they wanted to learn about touch properly rather than this is a game we play at warm up.
Here comes Nowini. He's the first retriever after that ball. Shows his dancing feet again. He's extraordinarily light. Once he starts, it's as soon as you can just see him go onto the balls of his feet, and then you don't know what he's going to do. I mean, that's extraordinarily hard to defend.
A very, very good job by Byron Tibbets of just maintaining a really good body shape, so that as soon as he passed, it passed out to David Condon. Byron Tibbets was able just to chase out and grab him. So it was very good work and very good technique, but also just patience and holding his nerve there by Byron Tibbets.
And that's exactly what Scotland are going to have to do against Wales in the mixed open in the next game that we've got coming up here at Nottingham's Highfields Sports Complex, because we've got Wales versus Scotland, and Wales have some players in their midfield, the likes of Louis Tress and Joe Kruger-Williams, who just have that ability to go left and right, just on a dime, so to speak.
Louis Tress has been a phenomenal player at age group level. He's been in that Wales mixed 18 side. And what's been interesting this year watching him is, he's always had an amazing left foot, and this year his right foot is there as well, and he's getting a longer passing game.
As England look to stretch things up, Greg Cropper stays patient, and that hasn't been given for a loss of control, and that's such a shame there for Nole Quinn. They did everything right there, England, bar the touchdown. It's that little show and go. That
said, I've seen ones like that given before. So.
Is that Cropper, we're talking about his lack of touchdowns in this competition, but he's turned provider on many, many occasions, and that's one of those examples, just managing to create the space just by using the ball of his hands and with the ball in his hands and with a look in his eyes and almost creating The touchdown for Nolay Quinn as Ireland get a fresh set of 6. The ball hitting the deck off an English player.
And the interesting, I mean, that was a good defensive decision by Nolay. She didn't have many other options there. Who, the English right winger, who, funny enough, has one of the strongest Irish accents you'll hear. In fact, but really is actually playing for her second nation at touch, and she's actually a former Scotland player.
Touch made by Cropper on Andy Langford just as he goes through to the line. Just to let you know what we've got coming up over the next couple of hours here. What we'll do in a second. Just let Ireland continue on. That's Billy Nwini out in the link area. Has that been touched? No, it hasn't. The combination of Billy Nwini and Senitun Nopu happens again. The first one was a good 30-metre pass. This one is all about pace and just great handling skill, just to suck in the last defender to create the space for the winger for the score there. Nopu.
So that's a case of, Nwini getting outside that link, and really the only way you could have stopped that was perhaps the winger coming in a little bit early and trying to force pressure on the pass. But really, to be honest, whatever the winger did there was probably the wrong decision. So, he had beaten them earlier inside.
England just getting touch going over the line. That's Byron Tibbets.
Interesting that for a game that in the first half was going side to side and everything going on, pretty tight scoreline at half time, but it's just opening up.
Tibbets goes over the line, looks for the support. There is Quinn on the outside. England needed a score. They were trailing by 2. It's the first time the margin had been that many, but it's back down to 1 now as Byron Tibbets finds Nolay Quinn. Talk us through this one, Simon.
So what they did there was they made that look as if they were playing what's called a quickie, where he was just going to pop that back to the dumper, and instead just cut the other way, scooped, and Nolay did just a great job of staying wide and nice, beautiful flow ball, and that's the score that she didn't get a couple of minutes earlier.
Similar kind of play. It's a play you see an awful lot at this level, especially at the elite level. You try and work on it at the lower level, but it only really comes off at the elite level.
You have to have that pass.
I think it's also about game understanding as well. It's that the players who are used to doing it is that at a junior club level is that you've got players with pace, but they get to the touch line, try line, and then they stop, as opposed to going through and playing through.
And what was interesting was that when Byron picked and scooped,
it's Billy Nwini there. Little bit of a slip there from the England defence, and Nwini just gets found there by Tanya Rosser.
As we're saying, we again going back to Nwini in this half, starting to turn things into one-on-one agility battles.
Nwini takes the touch, and Tanya Rosser there picks it up.
Now,
and
that is all about what Billy Nwini did before he got the ball. So he dumped it, he split out, he held, he stepped in, and as he stepped in, the English defender turned in, he stepped out, the English defender couldn't recover. So that's all about the work he did before he got the ball there.
Great training aid to watch back if you're any aspiring players here and aspiring coaches on watching us today on BBC Sport Online. Very warm welcome if this is the first time you're watching Touch. Hope you're enjoying it, hope you're intrigued by it, and hope you want to be a part of the Touch community. As England, Sarah Rosenberg coming close to getting the ball down. England needed another score there. 8 minutes, just over 8 minutes to play. It's 2 touchdowns the difference. And
that pass was asking a lot of her, but I do wonder whether perhaps he actually just could have dived.
And over 1,500 players, officials, supporters, support staff, physios, medics, crew, all here at Nottingham this week. It's the largest European Touch Championships ever, 20% bigger than the ones 2 years ago. Just shows how touch is growing across the continent, and teams like Sweden coming here for the first time, as we see Tanya Rosser try to turn provider again, and it just doesn't come off that time. Isaac Buss, just in terms of north of the border, how much are you seeing the game grow up there?
Yeah, I mean, probably the big growth has been in youth. We've gone over the last few years from having a mixed 18s national side to now having mixed 15s, mixed 18s, boys 18s, girls 18s, and you're seeing a few schools being taken out. And here we go, and this could, she'll need to. Ireland had that covered the whole time, but I wouldn't be surprised if now perhaps what they were wanting to do there, England, was to go back out to the left again, but Greg Cropper was still trying to get back into position.
This is the slightly older age of the spectrum. Every player you're seeing on this field are age 30 or over, and the mixed competition, so it's a maximum of 3 men on the field at any one time. Of course, you can have more women than 3, so it could be 1 man and 5 women, although you never ever see that.
We know, but actually if you go to 2008 mixed open final, there was a period there where Scotland had 4 women on the field because of an injury crisis.
As Cropper finds Tom Humphries, but that's a touch made.
And what you might have noticed there was how low the ball that Greg Cropper passed there. And what he was trying to do was pass it very low so that the player's already diving onto it.
Cropper goes over the touchline, looks for support, and there's no support. But there is an Irish player, Isaac Boss.
You also noticed how Greg there, when he was running, kept looking back inside, and I think he was looking for Mike Rowe, number 13, to just follow him on a trail line to just get a little ball back inside there.
Nevertheless, Ireland concede a penalty. Here comes Mike Rowe dictating what he wants. Greg Cropper, and then Tom Humphries comes in. Back to Cropper, just playing in the faces of the Irish defence a little bit. Cropper finds Nolly Quinn here on the right-hand side.
Just waiting to step, just go straight there.
Great defence there by Billy Nwini, forcing England to keep it tight on the wing.
And this is, we talked about Billy Nwini's agility in attack, but now what you're seeing is his agility in defence.
And Greg Cropper is the half, and that attack comes to nothing. And Ireland still 2 touchdowns to the good, 5.5 minutes to play here in Nottingham.
Well, I'll tell you, I mean, if Ireland hold on and win this will be, another of those big moments. Because they probably weren't highly favoured coming into this. We are used to seeing England, Wales and Scotland sort of dominate medals, and France as well to an extent. So this is, while I'm sure England won't be happy, this is, I think, good for the sport if Ireland won this, just to see another nation winning gold medals.
And I was commentating actually on the the Spain-Ireland game yesterday afternoon on day 2. Sorry, day 3. These days all blend into one over the last 4 days. There's been an awful lot of touch.
Sunburnt blur.
Yes, sunburnt being the operative word. It's aside from a shower yesterday afternoon, or a half an hour of drizzle yesterday afternoon, it's been blazing hot sun here in the East Midlands. Day 3, it was Spain-Ireland, and you can see Ireland really go through their phases and look to be testing things out and it's paying off just here. And this could be the clincher for Ireland. It extends the lead to 3 with just a few minutes to play.
I actually thought Ireland had got this wrong because they dumped on Mike Rowe rather than Greg Cropper. But what you see here is a great job by this Irish half of just following the play.
That's Devin Green.
Yeah,
spreads the play, and England fall for the bait and leaving the space for Emma O'Malley to slip through the net.
Yeah, and a great job of her following, and also just those England defenders on the other side. You're late in the game, it's day 4, just not getting across in time.
4 minutes to play here in Nottingham. If England manage to score 3, this will go into a drop-off, but considering how Ireland have defended, I think it's looking a massive task for the English to get into that situation.
I think so. And I think England have had their chances, but I don't think many people would. I think it's been a very even game. That could have been beautiful.
England have just left a couple of touchdowns on the field there. Nolly Quinn that time dropping the ball from Ollie Sills, as England have a penalty anyway and can start, but they really need to score in this set of 6. They get the scoop from Martin Wright. Over he goes, over the whitewash, needs to find the support, but the ball hits the deck from Glenn Jones. Doesn't matter.
I think there's an Irish player who's going to be in trouble here. Oh no, I thought he might.
It's just a tap.
He's just force subbed him.
Now, just to explain a forced sub.
So basically, he's been sent to the sub box, and now there's been a change in the rules, because you used to be able to replace him. You used to replace him. But basically, that is for repeated infringements. And we see Nwini flying in at a shot to call that one.
Very early in the touch count
and
for
that's a bit of a killer, because you've got that fresh set of 6 on the line. You turn it over, try and force something on first touch, and that's, I think, probably a bit of tiredness and a bit of recognising and down the sideline.
And here comes some pace from the Irish winger. That's Katrina Depore. Nwini's really been the MVP of this game, would you say?
He has, I think. But I think he's had some great support from Tanya Rossa. I think she's been outstanding. And I think he's had, I think, number 12, David Connor's been good. And what you've just seen, for all the work he's doing, and he's doing some amazing work, he's got players off that are making runs off him and finishing off his good work.
Seen Nwini score 1 and set up 2 of Ireland's 6, and asking questions all the time of the English defence. As Ireland come again, look to make it 7. That's David Condon. He's just taken a bit of a bang on his way to the whitewash. Play stops but the time continues, and this is really what's going to kill it probably for England. Just to explain that we don't have injury time. Every tournament is centrally timed. That's why you hear the klaxon in the background. And so even if, as happened in one of the previous games, I think the England mixed 30s game against France a couple of days ago, is that they lost 8 minutes or so due to an injury, which is obviously very frustrating. I mean, as you're a player or an undercoach.
Yeah, and it's one of those rules that you understand the reasons why, because of all the different games going on. It is frustrating. Play games where we have lost huge amounts of time. I've been in positions where it's benefited us. I've been in positions where it hasn't, but it's it's one of the things that when you're playing sport, you just know that's the rules. Just notice here that the Welsh mixed open side warming up next to us. I actually think I saw Gareth Revel dance a second ago, which is...
I think it was a light stretch. As Ireland really look to kill the game off, keeping the ball in hand. That's great play there by Tanya Rosser. You were singing her praises just a little while ago, and there she is. She's involved multiple times in that move and giving the scoring pass as well. She's getting congratulations from her teammates, and we just see that there. And this one has killed that off. Ireland are taking home the gold medal in this category.
Quite often in mixed, you see women in a mixed game used as finishers or stroke doubles, but what you've got there is a genuine ball player, and that just is giving Ireland another dimension. Bill Nawini's been superb, but I think she's had a great game.
And you can see the Irish fans in the background. The other teams within the squad really getting behind. They know that this one is won already.
And I'm really, really pleased for Christina Tuitanga. And there goes the buzzer. That's all over.
Tamara Slater gets touched appropriately enough. Billy Nawini bringing this game to the end by stopping that England attack. And what a fantastic performance there, as you say, by Nawini, by Tanya Rosser, and the rest of the Irish senior mixed squad.
And what I think is really nice here, look at Byron Tibbets, the smile and the genuine congratulations he's given them. And I think a lot of people, if you're new to the sport, coming into this is a sport where it's a lot about respect between the teams, a lot of, you recognising the achievements of your opposition. So lovely, the first thing he did there was actually a big smile and a hug to Billy Nawini. And particularly, we see just in the bottom of the shot there, Christina Tuitanga on a crutch there. The coach, she's been coaching a long time. She's put a lot of work into the development of touch in Ireland. She's had a few of her injury issues, and so just really, really pleased for her to get that result, because I know how hard she works.
And this 45 minutes is going to go down in Irish touch rugby history, because they've also won the men's 45 final over on field 1, beating England by 6 touchdowns to 4.
Yeah, what a great day for Ireland, and my wife's Irish, so I'm equally happy. But
so all you need is a U2 T-shirt, and you're a straight-up citizen.
Yeah, I'll get a pint of Guinness will do. But no, I think a great day for Irish touch, and just you talked before about the development work that they're doing there, and there's a bunch of very committed people, a lot of work into Irish touch, and they're getting their rewards. And again, talking, see Byron Tibbets there, obviously giving a lot of congratulations and praise, and so that's just really nice to see. And it's sort of one of the hallmarks of the sport, is that you get beaten by a team, you go your way to tell them, well done guys, that was great.
So as we see this is what you're seeing after every game here, and both sets of teams coming together, and we're just going to go to the replays and have a quick look at this game in just a minute. But in terms of the bonhomie, the camaraderie between all of the teams, regardless of the country.
Absolutely, and it's a sport in which there are a lot of friendships across nations. So you get, a lot of. So if you look at the English NTS series, the National Touch Series, you'll see players from countries, from Wales and Scotland, Ireland, traveling and playing. We have referees who travel up to Scotland sometimes to referee for our tournaments. We have the English referees up. So most of us know each other, and there's a lot of friendships. And in fact, if you look at, for example, the Scotland mixed open player Mikey Short is married to Amber Short, who's a Wales women's open player. We all know each other. We all support each other. There's a lot of friendship and a lot of respect in the sport. And I think certainly people come new to it, it's one of the first things they remark on. And I coach juniors in Scotland as well, and it's amazing the amount of parents remark about that culture of the sport.
And this is a fantastic reaction from not just the Irish. You can see the Chilean mixed open team in there as well, I think. And we saw yesterday as Ireland go into their huddle, and we'll just have a quick look at some replays in just a minute. And plenty of smiles in that Irish squad, as we saw the biggest tunnel of love in the history of man, I think, yesterday between Portugal and Italy, as they started on the far side of field 1, came through the Vaughan Williams Pavilion and all the way up onto field two, I should have said, all the way up through, and then up onto field 1 as well. Just England opened the scoring through Ollie Sills. There were just a few seconds on the clock, but thereafter, it's Ireland slowly but surely took a grip on this game, tying things up here as we see Billy Nwini's passing ability on this one.
And the other thing that was a hallmark of a lot of Ireland's touchdowns was the way they either cut back against the grain, but they did a really good job of just isolating particular defenders and getting defenders into sort of just slightly bad body shapes, and then, or in the one we saw before, just cutting back against the grain. I think just a lot of really good little technical stuff. Just playing some it's a really attractive touch to watch as well. Yeah,
that second touchdown from Ireland, a little bit of individual brilliance in terms of an outrageous dummy to sell to Tom Humphreys, the English defender there. He just bought it completely, and when you're a tall man to do that and to create the space for you to dive, that's a fantastic bit of finishing. Nice, yeah. Sarah Rosenberg there on that touchdown for England, but here we see Billy Nwini from the high behind camera, and you can see that at this stage he's not the half, so he keeps the play alive fantastically. I mean, that's just probably the play of the day, actually.
Hey, actually got back up then. It's pretty amazing, but yeah. I mean, that shows just how good his agility is. The guy actually falls over and manages to get back up and put his teammate away in space. And I think this was, I think Ireland did very well, was just isolate defenders, and just get, and here, Billy Nwini hanging out there on the right against two female defenders, and able to sort of just put his pace in there. So they did a very good job, I think, of just isolating certain defenders.
And we're watching the touchdowns here, but a lot of that was made on defence, because England had plenty of opportunities deep in the Irish half, just weren't able to convert them.
They do. I was thinking this was about 5 minutes to go, and I think probably the key difference was execution. I think at those points, and you're quite right, in a lot of chances where either they dropped the ball, or the pass wasn't quite right, or actually Irish defenders did a great job of just jamming support runners. So I think there was, I think when it came down to it was probably just I would like to see the stats, but I imagine Ireland probably had fewer chances in this game than England, but they were just a lot more accurate.
But of course, it's not necessarily a matter of chances or the amount of possession you get, it's what you do with it, as we saw a few times at the recent Football World Cup, teams with a smaller amount of possession as Nwini goes over for a well-deserved touchdown. It's a matter of making the most of those opportunities.
Absolutely. I mean, if you're talking about a game like rugby union, I mean, how often have we seen a side like New Zealand win a game where they've actually had much less than half of the possession? But yeah, I mean, again, this is just this individual agility there, and Ema there, just a great trail, just making that run there just in case something happens. She's made, that's a run she'll make 12 times a game and never get the ball, but keep making that run, because that one time that the ball did come back in, she was there.
Yeah, and as the game wore on and Ireland managed to get further away, I think there can be no complaints from this English team in terms of how much, in terms of Ireland being the better team. You can see on their reaction after the game exactly what it meant to them. And Steve Jameson has Owen Burke with him from the Irish team. Let's hear what he has to say.
Yeah, thank you very much, Chris. Owen Burke, a huge congratulations. What a performance from you guys. What a tournament as well at the end of a very long 4 days. That must be hugely satisfying.
Yeah, it was great to get the result today. It was an exciting game. We played these guys 2 years ago and we came out the wrong side of the result. We had no complaints about that result, but I thought today we deserved the win, I think, and we've nothing but respect for that English team. They're a quality outfit, and every time we've played them over the last couple of years, we've had great games, and I hope the people watching it at home enjoyed it as much as we did playing in it.
Well, I don't think there's any doubt about that. Fantastic rugby to watch. And in terms of the loss 2 years ago, is that entering your minds at any point ahead of this final? Was it mentioned in the team talks ahead of time that, we know what happened 2 years ago, this is about righting that, or did you completely eliminate that from your minds?
Well, we were prepared for for a drop-off situation because every time we played each other, there was only literally one score in it, so we were ready for that scenario. Thankfully, we didn't have to go through it because it's a hard place to be. So yeah, we spoke about England and we spoke about their quality, and they looked like they were getting better each game. We watched them this morning playing against the French, and they really upped it another level. So we knew we had to hit our processes and get on the ball and go through our moves well today, and I think they came off well in the final. So.
And it must be incredibly pleasing at the end of a very long process for the European Championships to get over the line and get that win ahead of a very big next year, of course.
Yeah, well, the World Cup is in the back of everyone's minds, and I guess you're kind of see how people come out of this championship and how many injuries you bring on to the next level as well. So, I mean, that's a year away. We weren't really thinking about that today. But I think the whole tournament has been so well run, and you're here for 4 days, so it's hard to keep getting ready and then see what's left in your squad come the final day. But luckily we had one injury, and I think the English probably had one as well, so as a squad we kept together very strongly, and I think that's the key to winning these events.
And what are your final thoughts on these championships and of this event as a whole?
Well, it's been very well run. It's been a privilege to be a part of it. Yeah, we're proud to be part of it, and to come out on top is even better. But yeah, congratulations, and I think the English should be proud of the show they put on. It was really well run. Very good.
Well, congratulations, of course, in order for yourself. Go enjoy the celebrations.
Thank you very much. Cheers. Thanks a million.